In the Air Force Guy, coming to you from Beckley's Camping Center today, and we're going to talk to you about how do you make up your mind whether you're going to buy a motorhome, meaning a drivable, or whether you're going to get a towable. I mean, there's so many things you can choose from. I mean, we've got pop-ups, you've got teardrops, you've got travel trailers, you've got fifth wheels. And then, of course, you have the motorhomes. In the motorhomes, what do you have? You're going to have the Class Bs. You're going to have the Class Cs. You're going to have the Class A gas. You're going to have the Class A diesel pusher. And, of course, then there's a Super Cs, which is a whole nother ballgame. So you have so many things to choose from. What is the best answer for you? Coming up, stay tuned. And remember, if you call, if you email, or if you stop by, you ask for Paul the Air Force Guy, and I'll be sure to help you out. Okay, folks, so the first thing we're going to talk to you about is pop-ups. Now, why would somebody choose a pop-up? I mean, you're going to be talking, you got to work, you got to put this thing up, you got to set the beds out, all that. But the reason why people select pop-ups is a couple reasons. One, it's the only thing they can tow, and they need to sleep multiple people. You know, typically 3, 4, 5, or 6, maybe even 7 people. So that's the benefit of a pop-up. It's being lightweight and the amount it can sleep. But the other big thing is some people are able to store it in their garage. Or they're able to because it folds down, a little bit easier to maneuver, and with the HOA and everything else, they can store it at their house. Whereas when you get to a travel trailer, you know, a hybrid, regular travel trailer, fifth wheel, motorhome, whatever, those tend to be too large and they do not fit at the house. So the reason for a pop-up, folks, would be for your tow vehicle and amount of sleeping capacity, as well as where you're going to be storing it. Now, keep in mind, whenever we're talking about any towable, folks, you've got to make sure that the dealer you're dealing with talks to you about 2 important numbers. One is the actual dry and gross weight of the vehicle or the unit, whether it be a pop-up, travel trailer, or fifth wheel, is, as well as what the tongue weight, meaning how much weight that tongue is going to put onto your vehicle, because those are 2 very important numbers that you must be concerned with. So again, pop-up, great reason, sleeping capacity, and where you're able to store it. Also price. Obviously, you know, depending on the pop-up, they get to be very inexpensive. So hopefully that helps you a little bit on the pop-up. The downside on the pop-up, obviously, is the manual labor, setting it up and getting yourself ready. But let's move on to the next thing. Okay, folks, so the next thing you might consider would be going to the travel trailer side of things, and a couple things you could do with that. We could be looking at teardrops, we could be looking at hybrids, and a hybrid is, or they might call it expandable. Basically, it has the bed ends that come out of the trailer. The benefit of a hybrid is the fact that you can get them small. They're still going to give you tons of sleeping capacity, but you're going to keep it much shorter, and you're going to get all of the advantages of having a travel trailer. And a lot of people, they might start with a pop-up, and then the next progression might go to a hybrid. The reason why people like hybrids is because of the fact that it gives them the tent feel, but gets them up off the ground and gives them all the conveniences of a travel trailer. But again, folks, one thing you've got to keep in mind is what is the weight of the trailer as well as the tongue weight of the trailer. I can tell you that even as small as this particular one is, I do not recommend something this size be pulled with a minivan. Now I'm talking about your Town and Countries, your Dodge, and there are people out there that will sell those to you. But I can tell you, it would be very tough on your vehicle in a short period of time, and depending on how long your trips are and so forth, there's a lot of precautions you need to take. But this is one thing, would be your hybrid. The next thing you would be talking about would be just a regular travel trailer. The benefit of a regular travel trailer is the fact that they come in all different shapes and sizes. You know, with slide outs, without slide outs, and depending on your budget, number one, and depending on your accommodations that you need as far as sleeping arrangements and so forth, those are the determinations on whether one of those is going to work for you. You've got to keep in mind, you've got to look at the weights. So let me show you a little bit about that. Okay, so when we're talking about weights, now one thing we try to do here at Beckley's Camping Center is get out, even on our new one, I'm over in the used lot, just kind of giving you a rundown, is we try and put weights on the trailers. Now they all going to already have gross vehicle weight ratings. That's going to be on the off-door side, typically, if they're still readable. And if you understand how to read those, you could figure out the dry weight. But we do this to make it easier. We're going to go ahead and show you the length, your dry weight, and of course the model number. Now why is that important? And here's why. You see this one here, the model number is a 25 BHS. I can't tell you how many people out there say, well, I have a 25-foot trailer. Well, that's not true. This one's almost 29 feet. Some people say, well, you take the first two digits in the trailer are the length of the box. Folks, it does not work out in the RV industry. I have model numbers that start with 21, and they're anywhere from 25 to almost 28 feet long. So it does not work. I have model numbers with a 32 and they're only 15 feet long. So don't believe that. What you want to do is go to the specifications in either a brochure or on the website. Now when I talk length and when we put length on these, we're talking tip to tip. Talking model number is not going to give you a true length of the trailer. Although there's some out there, I mean, I actually have one it's a 21 model number, it's 21 foot 11 inches, but then I have another one, it's 26 foot 4 inches. So they're all over the place. So be careful when you're out shopping for the trailer, and make sure you're dealing with somebody that understands the industry. I know for myself, nothing more frustrating than to deal with somebody trying to purchase something and you're not even getting the answers and you're getting the wrong answers. Not necessarily that they're lying to you, but it's just that they don't know any better. And I know that is, from my standpoint, that's very frustrating. And that is why I try to give the actual numbers to customers as they come in. So this is what you want to keep track of. Now the other thing you want to keep track of is what we call the tongue weight. We actually do weigh these. So depending on the vehicle, we might say, well, it's probably pretty close, and we'll weigh the tongue and see what it is. If you're looking in brochures for brand new trailers, they're going to list a tongue weight in the brochure. Keep in mind that tongue weight is without a battery and without the propane bottles full. So, and sometimes without a spare tire. So there's a lot of variables that you've got to be careful. You might be adding anywhere from 85 to 150 pounds to that number that you see in a brochure or on the particular website that you're looking at. So watch out for that. Now let's go on to the differences in travel trailers, because we have what we call stick and tin, and then we also have what we call fiberglass with aluminum. Okay folks, so here what I have behind me here is I have one travel trailer, what we call stick and tin, and that is what you're going to see, the rippled sides, and then it's using 2x2s for the structure on the interior. Now there are some manufacturers out there that do have aluminum on the outside and aluminum on the inside. Very few out there anymore. Sunnybrook used to be one that did have those, but majority of these, when you see it like this, they are stick and tin. Now on the other hand, you have the ones that are using aluminum with fiberglass. Now keep in mind, there are some manufacturers that can put the fiberglass on top of the wood structure as well. So it might be stick with the fiberglass as well. But those typically, they will disclose that, or they should disclose that. Now the difference is, if I had two of the identical same floor plans, one was stick and tin and the other was fiberglass with aluminum, the fiberglass with aluminum would be lighter weight than the stick and tin. So that is another reason why, you know, people are gravitating from a tow capacity to the aluminum with the fiberglass. The other thing is, people, these are prettier, aren't they? A little bit nicer. You know, these aren't as pretty. Now people always ask me, Paul, what should I buy? My response is what you can afford. You know, what's my budget, first of all? I'd have no problem buying a stick and tin, because it doesn't matter whether you buy the most expensive travel trailer on my lot or whether you buy the least expensive. If you don't take care of it, it is not going to be worth anything, and it is going to deteriorate. So I would not necessarily get hung up whether it's stick and tin or whether it's fiberglass with aluminum. My thing is, find the floor plan that works for you. So let's go on and talk about some fifth wheels. Okay folks, We're going to talk fifth wheels. Why do people like fifth wheels? Fifth wheels are probably the easiest thing to tow compared to a pop-up or a travel trailer or the hybrids or your teardrops. However, of course, you're going to need a truck. And when I say truck, I mean you're really going to need a truck. Typically, you're going to need 3/4 ton or 1 ton, even a 1 ton dually diesel truck, because they have the torque and the horsepower as well as the payload capacity. I mean, this particular one we're looking at here is it's almost 39 feet in length, has a dry weight of almost 12,500 pounds. Now, although this one is not showing us the tongue weight on this one, but the tongue weight on this particular model is going to be somewhere in the mid 2,000, about 2,600 pounds. So you've got to have the payload capacity for your vehicle when you're talking fifth wheels. And again, I mean, from a towing standpoint, hooking up, disconnecting, people absolutely love them. The other thing that I like about it is that this particular thing, you know, if you have a 39-foot fifth wheel versus a 39-foot motorhome, well, you got a heck of a lot more space in the fifth wheel than you do in the motorhome. So again, it comes down to your particular situation and the layouts and so forth. I mean, you can get these fifth wheels in rear living rooms, front kitchens, front living rooms, toy haulers. I mean, they've got just about all kinds of different configurations for you. So again, it comes down to what works for you. And this is something here at Beckley's that I'm able to help you out with, because see, we stock approximately 400 units at any given time. So we're able to walk through, and the nice thing is, folks, I don't have to hold your hand. If you want to just go out and look through things, we leave things unlocked, unlike some of the competition where they'll have things locked and somebody got to be with you. Or like some of the competition out there, they'll take you out and only show you 3 units. We will allow you to go look as many as you want. I can hold your hand as much as you want, or I can let you roam free. Whatever works for you. The main thing is we want to make sure that you get the information to help make an educated decision. Because folks, I can tell you, I see a lot of people, they make the uneducated decision, and what happens? They are buying again too soon. So let's go on now to the drivables and talk about what they bring to the table. Okay, folks, let's talk about motorhomes. And we're going to start with the smaller of the motorhome classes, and that is the Class B. Now, this particular one is on a Sprinter chassis, meaning it's a Mercedes diesel. And they come in gas in a Chevy or Ford. But what they do is they allow you to have something that's relatively small. This thing is about 23 foot in length, but it's the same width as a van that you would have driving if you were just go to a Mercedes store and buy one of their vans. A lot of people like these to get from point A to point B. This is a great couples coach, or it could be a great little motorhome. You know, let's say you have sports that you're into, and you have multiple people that you need to take from point A to point B, because it gives you a place you can shower, you have a bathroom, you have a kitchen, you have AC, TVs. You can have up to 9 people in some of these floor plans. So that is why a Class B might work for you. Let's get on to the Class Cs. Okay, folks, so the Class Cs, they come in all different sizes. Now, some of your Class Cs, if you're getting one that is that's on a Sprinter chassis, might not have the bed over top in the front here. Some of these also in the gas motorhomes, you could get these with a front entertainment center, so it would not have a bed up there, but you're gonna have additional storage and a TV and stereo and all that good stuff. Now, why do people gravitate to a Class C? People gravitate to a Class C because you get them in lengths from anywhere from about 24 foot, maybe about 23, 24 foot, up to about 32 feet, until you get into your Super Cs, which then you can get up to about 38, and some in your big Super Cs, you can get up to 45 foot long. But that's a whole nother animal there. But the majority of the Class C customers are getting this style here because it's typically on a Ford or a Chevy chassis. They find it to be easy to handle because it's just like you're driving in a regular truck. You have the trucks on the front and the chassis, and then the motorhomes above it. Keep in mind, everything above you and behind you on most Class Cs is going to be 8 foot wide, just like a Class A motorhome. But the reason why people gravitate to Class C is the perception that they drive easier and for price. And it's a great way. I tell you, unfortunately, I'm always a driver when we take one of these things out, so I don't get to partake in all the events and shenanigans that are going on in back of the motorhome. But the great thing about a motorhome, folks, is as you're driving down the road, if Johnny needs to use the restroom or Mom needs to use the restroom, guess what? You don't have to worry about it. They can just walk right back there and get on there and go. That's the great thing about a motorhome. So next thing, let's talk about Class A's. Okay, folks, so now let's talk about the Class A motorhome. Some people might refer to these as the bus style because you've got the massive windshield up in the front. Now, the difference between this and a Class C, they're the same width. You can get them almost the same length. There's some Class A's that are out there that are about 24 foot, and you can get them all the way up to about 39 foot 11 inches. So the Class A motorhome, and I'm talking gas engine, is another way that you can go. Now, the benefit of a Class A is the fact that as you're driving, you're looking over top of the traffic. You're not sitting down low. Now again, the perception of the Class C, folks, was the fact that you were sitting like in a truck chassis. But what I tell people is, again, keep in mind, everything above you and behind you is 8 foot wide. Now you're sitting in the 8 foot. Typically now, if you were to find in the same lineup, let's say a 32 foot Class A gas, 32 foot Class C gas, equipped equivalently, about the same options, the gas motorhome might cost you $5,000 to $10,000 more. So it's not really necessarily out of reach. And depending on the particular ones that you're looking at, and I'm talking more of if you're doing comparables, like in our lines, if we're talking about the Winnebago Mini Winnie, and then we were talking about the Winnebago Vista, we could get those to be pretty comparable as far as amenities, sleeping, the layout's pretty darn close, but the price would be somewhere between $5,000 to $10,000 more for a Class A gas. Now, the key is for you, if you were deciding whether or not this is going to work for you, the key is to test drive. And that's one thing we can do here. We've got nice open roads. And if you need to test drive a Class A, you need to test drive a Class C, we could do those back to back to give you the feel for those. Now, our test drives aren't where you're just going to go ahead like when you do a car test drive and you just go out, go up the road a little bit, turn around, come back. We've got a nice little setup where we can do back roads, we can do highway, number of different scenarios we can put you in to make sure that you get the true feeling and what it feels like to drive these. If you've never driven one before, the first time you get behind the wheel, you will be nervous for at least the first 5, 10, maybe 15 minutes. But the longer that we drive, you will settle in and become more and more comfortable. I won't say you're going to be completely comfortable by the time we're done. A lot of times with my test drives, we might be gone for 45 minutes. So we're giving you the opportunity to really get a feel for this. So this is the Class A gas motorhome. Now keep in mind, at motorhomes, if you're looking at Class C or Class A, you may want to consider towing a vehicle behind you. Or what I tell people, listen, the cost to set up properly a vehicle to tow using a Blue Ox and a brake buddy, you're going to be spending somewhere about $3,500 to $4,000. You may want to just consider when you get to a particular location is just to call Enterprise and say, bring me a car, and save you that, because I'll tell you, it's going to take you a lot of rentals to get yourself up to about $4,000. I had a sales manager back years ago. He took a 6-week trip across country, and he was driving Class A, 36-foot Class A motorhome. Hemmed and hawed whether or not he wanted to tow a car. He ended up not towing a car. He drove his motorhome pretty much everywhere in that 6 weeks. He rented a car twice for him and his family. So, like I say, once you get used to and you're comfortable driving these things, folks, it's a breeze. Now, let's get on to the next size, which we're going to be talking about diesel pushers. Well, diesel pushers and diesel motorhomes. Let's get on to those. Okay, folks, so now we're on to a diesel pusher. Now, this one's a diesel pusher. Now, folks, how do you determine the difference between a diesel pusher and a Class A gas? I would say that 99% of the time when you see this door is up in front of the front wheel, you know that you have a diesel pusher. Now, The reason why I say 99% of the time, because there are diesel pushers that do have the door back behind the wheel. There's another type of diesel motorhome when we're talking about this style of a diesel Class A gas, and that is what they call a FRED, meaning it's a front-end diesel. So keep that in mind. You don't see those too often. And also back several years ago, they had a mid-engine diesel that was put out on a Freightliner chassis as well. The majority of the time, you're going to see the rear-end diesel, or they call it diesel pusher. Contrary to what some people might tell you, because of all the emissions and so forth today, the fuel mileage isn't necessarily much better than a Class A gas. You could still expect to get somewhere between 7 to 8 miles a gallon. You know, if you're looking at something pre-emissions back before 2009, you know, you could be experience anywhere from 9 to maybe 12 miles a gallon. Unless we're talking about the smaller, like 28-foot diesel pushers that are out there in the market, because they're not pushing as much weight. Obviously, you can get those up to 13 to maybe 14, 15 miles a gallon. So there are, you know, those extremes. What is the benefit of a diesel pusher versus a Class A gas? The benefit on the majority of them, and you got to be careful when you look at a diesel pusher. Don't think that they all have air brakes and air ride system, because the less expensive ones do not. They're going to be on a regular gas type chassis, and they're going to have the same hydraulic brake system that the Class A gas, and that's how they're able to cut the cost. If you're looking at a true diesel pusher, and let's say we're looking at a 40-foot versus a 39-foot 11-inch Class A gas, high end, you're going to be spending anywhere, when you're going to go from gas to a diesel pusher, you can expect to spend anywhere from $50,000 to $100,000 more. And there's a lot to go with that. The chassis, the engine, the drivetrain, the tires and wheels. I mean, there's a lot of little things. The ride is going to be a lot different as well, because you're going to have an air ride system, you're going to have air brakes, so it's going to be a much nicer. And then there's other things that go in there too. And something, if you really need to get into it, by all means, give me a call, shoot me an email, and let's go ahead and get into all the little details, because I'll tell you, Newmar has cornered the market on a couple of items, and that is something that would take some time and actually be able to test drive it to show you what is different on a Newmar versus the competition out there. But again, this is Paul Chamberlain, the Air Force guy from Beckley's Camping Center. I hope you enjoyed this little video. I try to give you some insight into the differences that are out there. One thing I didn't go over was truck campers. That's a whole other ball game, because that is another thing in itself. We don't carry those necessarily here. We can get them, but it's not a big segment of the market here. Out west, they're huge, and there's some benefits to the truck campers. But if you have any questions on anything that I covered, or maybe things I did not cover, shoot me a comment, call me, shoot me an email. All my information is below under Show More. I appreciate you watching. Subscribe to my channel. I've got a lot of things coming your way. Got a big announcement after the first of the year, so stay tuned, and we'll come back at you again shortly. And remember one important thing: before you buy, see the Air Force guy. Take care.